my school pushes this agenda. My school pushes societal demoralization because it's going to bring division and it is going to tear down our country.
Welcome, everyone, to the Centurion Show. Today we have a very special guest who has witnessed firsthand the indoctrination in school systems. Today we have Aliyah. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Aliyah Popa, and I go to a school in the NEISD district that teaches Marxist ideologies, and they interpret it as globalism. So, yes. And in addition to that, they constantly ridicule and villainize America and American values.
Well, I'm sure one way or another, everyone has experienced this. Now, obviously, if you go to a private Christian religious school, then it's probably a little less than the public school system. But one way or another, I'm sure we've all seen it, and especially in universities. I mean, I went to, still I'm going to Abilene Christian University, and even there, it's still there's still kind of that ideology. It's not as severe as other places, but you can still definitely tell that it's there and being more introduced and kind of compounding in that area. But so what really inspired you to start speaking out against the system? What was your come to Jesus moment, if you call it? What made you realize this is not right, something's wrong here?
That's a great question. So I was just basically looking about what was going on in my school, and I was afraid to speak out about it amongst my peers because I knew that I would be heavily discriminated against. So I decided to speak up about it at the UATX Q&A session because the president of the university was talking about his own personal experience with anti-Western indoctrination within several universities that he was teaching under. And so I wanted to express my own situation and how I could navigate around that according to his own advice, which he had given me. So I guess after that, when the video was posted on Instagram, in the comment section where there was a lot of harassment and doxing going on, I think that's where my inspiration mainly came from, is just seeing how my fellow students and alumni and former teachers were treating me. And that's when I knew that I had to do something.
Well, and how would you describe this indoctrination that's going on? Because a lot of people throw around there's indoctrination going on, but what does that really mean? What does that entail? What are they trying to push?
They're trying to put societal demoralization on their students. And so essentially that means to eradicate all forms of tradition, eradicate all forms of nationalism, and eradicate all forms of the nuclear family. And they have portrayed that in every single sense.
Well, why is that important? If they're taking all of that out of the communities and everything, why is that important? What will be the results of breaking apart the nuclear family and teaching people how to, really teaching people how to not think, and then them pushing their own agenda and people just kind of taking in whatever they see and not verifying anything?
It creates activists, not citizens. Activists who are willing to put their lives on the line for any agenda that they align with, any radical agenda they align with. In this sense, it's globalism. In this sense, it is a leftist ideology. So it's very dangerous that my school pushes this agenda. My school pushes societal demoralization because it's going to bring division and it is going to tear down our country.
Well, Michael Yan, a few months ago, he said that we are clearly at war, and it's not a kinetic war, it's an information war. Information war is the highest level of warfare, and just under that is psychological operation. So, we're clearly at war through these school systems and other things like that. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were talking about before Yuri Benzmanov, and he was a KGB defector who, I think it was 1987, he was warning of the dangers of communism that are taking place here in the United States, and that was in 1987. He was warning of the ideological subversion and all of the other systems that are taking place and that communism was beginning in the United States and they bring it through the younger generation, because if they get the younger minds susceptible and teach them how to think and make them more susceptible, then it makes it a lot easier once they're older to take over the country.
Exactly. They're more willing to control, they're more willing to bend to absolutely anything that is put in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, I really got to give props for you for speak out against it. And like we've said several times on this podcast, that when you point out the truth, you're going to be attacked for it. So through all the attacks and through the discrimination, what gave you strength to persevere through it?
I'd say my trust in God, especially my trust in God, knowing that whatever is happening to me, it's all part of God's plan. And I know that it will be better for me to go through this. And I know that I can get through this.
Yeah, that's really good. So what would you have to say to a kid in the school system who sees these issues and wants to speak out against them, but is scared of what will happen after?
There are many resources that they can go through or obtain so that they can express their views anonymously or through a friend or through an organization, or even going to one of the sessions at UATX and asking to speak with them privately and not be on camera, and talk to their sister organizations as well. One of them is Pepperdine University, and I know that they correspond with the same values, and they hold sessions like the ones that you saw at UATX. So there are a lot of safe spaces for kids like me to go through.
Well, and I know that's a really good point, because a lot of kids, they don't know like what to do. They see this stuff happening and they want to speak out against it, and they know something's wrong, but they feel like they'll get, like we were just talking about, ridiculed and harassed by even their friends who they thought they were friends. And so having a space for them to actually, like a forum or something, for them to speak out and say, hey, this is what's happening at my school or my classes, and this is not right, and this is not what we as Americans should be being taught, and what we should be pushing, especially on the susceptible minds of the younger generation.
Exactly. It shouldn't be like this. It really shouldn't. I mean, students shouldn't have to fear in a place where open ideas are encouraged to express their own ideas. They should not have the fear to be harassed, to be doxxed and belittled online as if they are less than human for what they believe in. It's just incredibly insane that it's come to this point.
Give us an example of the indoctrination that you experienced there, because, I mean, globalist, but like specifically.
Yes. Well, they didn't teach us anything about the pure definition of globalism. I mean, our fundamentals are based upon recognizing perspectives, taking action, and collaborating with one another. Those are our 3 global competencies. And in order to graduate from my school, you need to implicate those global competencies accordingly so that people can see that you have actually portrayed those global competencies. We're really big about like global climate and changing the world in that sense and finding solutions for global crises. We also have the Model United Nations of San Antonio, also known as MUNSA, which is the biggest student-led conference in the Western Hemisphere. So in MUNSA, we basically have the opportunity to come up with global crises that you would find in the actual UN. And we get to represent countries, and we get to debate on these topics and find a solution for these crises, which is amazing. But some of the crises are a bit leftist and...
Like global warming, climate change, stuff that is...
Yes.
I mean, climate's always changing.
Exactly.
No one debates that the climate is always changing, but I mean, the fact that they're saying that like the world is going to end in the flood, the ocean's going to rise 20 feet in 5 years. They've been saying that since the 80s. And if you go to Florida, the water's right where it's supposed to be. It hasn't risen at all. And I think another thing, too, that just came to my mind is, like, what about all these bankers and ultra billionaires
Yes,
who are
exactly.
have banks and all these massive
Yes.
mansions and properties right near the water? If there was 10 foot, 20 feet rise in the oceans coming in the next 10 years, why would they invest in
Right.
property and land and everything in the areas that are going to be
Exactly.
underwater?
That's
So it just doesn't pass the smell test. And I think that's
yeah.
one of the things people need to learn how to do as well is just take a step back and question everything, because we're just at the point where, I mean, even with AI coming in, you can't even trust your own eyes. And so you have to, it's no longer trust and verify, it's just verify.
Yes.
I mean, we have to take a step back and question everything. That's just what we have to do.
Exactly. Just we need to learn how to critically think and actually practice it. Because if we know that it exists and we've learned it and it's not practiced, then it has no purpose, essentially. So,
Is there a certain standard in your school for globalism that you have to like pass to become like a, I guess, graduate from there?
so we have portfolio posts, and so they're based on like specific projects and everything. So, a project that I remember quite vividly was when we looked at a global crisis and we found a solution for it, or we had to propose a solution for it. And we also had to define what type of global competency it falls under. So, does it fall under recognizing other perspectives, collaborating, or taking action? And most of my peers' crises, like these were chosen crises, so anybody could choose whatever they wanted. It was basically very leftist crises. They were advocating for like gay rights in Gaza, which
If you were a homosexual in Gaza, you'd be thrown off a building.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just I mean, just point blank that they don't accept that there. And so it's funny to kind of see all these people advocating for that stuff, but it's like, okay, go over there and test your ideas and see how
Yes.
far you get.
yes, exactly, and it's just insane how my peers don't understand the truth. And in addition to that, I remember another peer of mine was working on open borders, like pursuing open borders, like open borders everywhere, that we should have open borders and we should have illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants, once they step on our land, then they are citizens of our nation. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, I didn't speak out about it, but I just knew that, like, deep down, that, like, that's just wrong. That's just wrong to talk about. That's just wrong to advocate. Why would you advocate for a country to strip down all of its borders, to be susceptible to all kinds of dangers?
Well, in that way, they don't even have to, I mean, really fire a shot in the fact that they don't have to go to war with us. They just take us down from within.
Exactly.
And that's when Biden let 30 million invaders into our country. That's what they're doing. They're here. I mean, and I know Trump's been promising to ship them out mass deportations, but I mean, unfortunately, we've seen the level of deportations decrease in the last several
Yes.
months. It's gone from 1,100, 1,000, 900, 800. And so it's like, this is not what we voted for. This is not mass deportations, and these people are here to stay. They're dispersed within our country, and they're having babies all the time, so it just keeps growing and growing, and that's how they take over the country. Anthropological warfare. They, like, all the different cultures and religions that are coming over and telling us that we're doing it wrong, and it's either our way or the highway, and that just, in any country you can't sustain that. That's how government, or that's how countries and governments
Yes.
really get overthrown.
Yeah, I mean, look at England.
Oh,
England has been invaded by tons of Muslims, and Muslims.
All
some
of
of
Europe.
these Muslims are in
Most
power.
of
Yeah,
Europe.
even most of Europe. So it's just an example.
When you have this huge influx of migrants coming into a community, the culture and traditions that are already in place of a community are susceptible to fall. It's just deemed to fall. They're deemed to be erased. And it's good to have a melting pot of communities. It's really good. It's really good to have that diversity. But when one culture severely dominates another culture, the culture that is being dominated will eventually fall.
Yeah, so I mean, you've seen all these issues in school, all the stuff that they're teaching. What is your opinion on either homeschooling and then specifically talking about like college, not going to college?
Well, homeschooling, I feel like it's just like a personal preference. If you don't really care about a social life and you think that it will be easier for you to go on your own path and strictly stick to learning, I know that there are ways that you can be a social person and still be homeschooled. Um, but if you do want to have the same environment that you would expect in a school, then I really wouldn't recommend homeschooling. But I really do think it's a really great idea for people who to have their own escape from this indoctrination. In addition to colleges, there are many colleges out there and universities out there who actually abide to the conservative views, to the conservative ideologies. And they're not extremely radical right wing or anything. They just advocate for the basic human rights, basic American rights in what America stands for. And so I would recommend students to look at colleges and universities who promote liberal arts. Liberal arts is a very key distinction whenever you're looking for a university that avoids anti-Western indoctrination. So,
Well, there's nothing like, I mean, like you said, the social aspect, there's nothing like actually being in school and being present
yes.
with all of your friends and peers and everything. That can't be replicated if you do that at your house in homeschool. And so I think that's why it's that much more important why we shed light on what's happening inside of our school systems, because I mean, the more people that want to leave school and go homeschool, they're not going to be involved in this social aspect. And then that's, I mean, again, like you said, there's other ways to do it, other sports or select clubs or other community ways to get involved. But just overall speaking, when you're in school, it does give you that social aspect, and it grows. It teaches you to learn and grow and how to communicate with others, and like you can't replicate at your house. And so again, that's why we need to really show what's happening and take a stand against it and say, no, we're not going to accept this. We want to be here in school. We want to learn, but we don't want to be overburdened and bombarded with this garbage that you're pushing us. Just, yeah, give us like, just teach us the normal stuff. We don't want radical right. We don't want radical left. Just
Yes.
teach us that, like, back what they were teaching in the 60s, just that, like, the nuclear family and all the, teach us actual history, because, I mean, I think now a lot of the history books even are getting manipulated, and they're teaching either one side of things, and even if they're teaching one side of things, that one side may be flawed. And so we have to stand up, and more people have to take a stand and say, no, we're not going to accept this.
Exactly. That's a really good point. And I wanted to touch down on the curriculum that's being taught currently today. Most of these magnet public schools and magnet schools in general have AP courses. And so in order to prevail in these AP courses, you have to read the books provided by AP College Board. And College Board has been known to implement leftist ideologies. It is a well-known fact. They are all about DEI. They're all about that stuff. And it shouldn't be that way. College courses should be teaching children how to think critically in history, in English, and in math, and in science. So I'm a bit afraid to take all of these AP college courses because I don't trust what they're saying. I really don't trust what they're saying. I'm going to be in about 7 AP classes this year. And that's, most of it is by my choice because I want those APs on my college transcript. But I am afraid to study for those AP tests because I know that what I will be taught in those classes will be predominantly left-wing. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you believe college is necessary?
no. The most successful people on earth have not been to college. Anybody can become someone if they don't go to college. if anybody is going to go to college, then I suggest that they get their MBA, because an MBA can be implemented in all fields of business, medical, science, the whole shebang. I mean, it's a very flexible degree to have. So,
Well, and it also, I think, as well as that, I mean, if you're just aimlessly going around, wandering around, then I don't think college is the best place, because that's when you get wrapped up in all this partying and losing
Yes.
yourself and everything, and that's just not a good situation to be in. But whenever you have a goal, like engineers, doctors, they need to go, lawyers, they have to go through college and beyond that to do what they want to do. But if you're just wandering around, don't know what you want to do, then I would just go straight to work.
Yes.
Just go work until you find your passion, something you're passionate about. Get in the workforce and start adding value to the marketplace. And then once you find your passion, then you go for that. Don't just waste your life away, because these are
Right.
very valuable years. The younger years that we have are the most important and the most, freeing and time of our lives. And so we have to make use of it and make ourselves be the best person that we can be.
exactly.
Well, in addition to that, that's when you absorb most of your information, is in your younger years. Obviously, technically, some people say this, learning starts after you're in school. Your education continues, but the bulk of the information that you're going to get and where you're going to be set in stone is in your childhood. And that's where most of the experiences, they will set you in stone to eventually think how you're going to be thinking in the future.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
They teach you how to think, and then as you go through the rest of your life, well, they used to teach you how to think, but when they teach you how to think, then you're able to go through life and just build off of that foundation. But when you have a whole society of people who can't think, then you have a whole society of people who are dumbed down and don't rise up against what's going on, and that's when we become in big trouble of ideological subversion and other nefarious actors pushing their agenda.
Back to what you said, which is so critical, that there's no learning like the experience you get from work. Like, if you're not, for example, me, I could not stand school. I could not do school. So I skipped college. I'm not doing college. And I have learned more in these past 2 years of working than I pretty much ever did in high school.
Absolutely.
And you really need to evaluate what you're going to college for, because don't get trapped in the student loan debt. That's going to take you 35 years to pay off, and you're pretty much tied to that debt until it's paid off.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too. A lot of these people get just retarded degrees. They spend $100,000 or $200,000 on a degree they're never going to use. I don't know, gender.
Communications.
Yeah, communications
Yeah.
or gender studies or whatever bull crap. It's like you're throwing $250,000 down the drain when you could be investing that into yourself to become a better man, and you just wasted that away for 4 years or however many years of your life to basically learn nothing, because that degree is not going to be,
Yeah.
what are you going to use it for? It's
Exactly. Like, if I was an employer and one of my job applicants says that they majored in gender studies or communications, I'm not going to hire them. I'm not going to hire them, because that class does not require resilience. That class does not require dedication. It does not require anything that my business requires of an employee.
Yeah. That's really good.
Well, to add on to the college, they're also indoctrinating you. It's not just spending the money and getting a worthless degree. They're also indoctrinating you. So what is one part of the school experience, I guess, in high school or college that you would change so that, less indoctrination or you get smarter?
I would change the professor's credentials.
probably more than one thing.
Yes,
you change.
it's a lot of things, actually. I would change the curriculum that's going to be in place. Gender studies really needs to get out of there. I feel like you're looking at it from a historical sense, and it's an elective, and you're not majoring in that. That's fine, whatever. But I don't think it should be implicated in every single place. And I really don't think that it should be taught to everybody on a forced standard. If somebody wants to go do that, then they are more than welcome to do that. It's a free country or whatever. But it should not be a forced agenda. We need to stop putting forced agendas into universities, into high schools, into all education curriculums. Because if we implicate a radical agenda, then people will not have their own thoughts. They will not have their own ideas to critically think. So I also think that, professors, remember what my mom was talking to you about yesterday in Oklahoma? The teachers there, they have to go through a series of checkpoints to actually get employed at the school. So they have to be pro-American. They have to not have a gender studies in their bio or anything, and they have to actually know how to teach, which is the most important thing. So I would change mostly everything about the woke agenda.
Yeah. I saw this one thing too. I don't know if it's true or not, but it kind of makes sense. It's they're not teaching cursive in school anymore. And so, I mean, the Constitution, if you recall, is all in cursive. And so if people are not able to, I mean, obviously you could look it up and get it translated into fine print or whatever, but the original Constitution, I mean, I think that they said they're not teaching people how to write cursive or read cursive, so they couldn't read the Constitution. Again, I don't know if that's correct or not, but that's just something else that we're kind of falling away from as well.
No, like cursive is a really important thing to learn. I mean, it's just quicker, it's more elegant, it's more professional. If everybody is going to be reading and writing in hand print, then it doesn't show dignity, it doesn't show the strength of our nation and the strength of our community. So
What kind of responses do you get from your peers, I guess, recently after your talk with the University of Austin?
I have no social media, so they can't reach me on there, but people who know me personally, like my close friends and people that I have worked with on projects in school who have my number, they have reached out to me, and most of them have been cordial and respectful, like, hey, are you okay? Is everybody okay at your house? Like, I know, like, this is like a huge thing going on, and I just want to let you know that I actually care about you, and I don't care about what those people are saying about you. And there are others who have called me a hypocrite, saying that I stood up on the podium at my school and I talked about how great my school was, and now I went on to UATX and I was filmed for my question. And then I was also called a liar by another peer of mine, and I just don't understand how my own interpretation of what is being taught in my school is a lie.
Well, I think what you're saying, you don't have any social media. I think a lot more, I mean, obviously no one can live without their social media, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, but if at all possible, I would get rid of as many social media platforms as you can, because that's another vector of attack that they're using to push on, especially the younger generations. It's a dopamine overload when you keep scrolling, and whenever you read hateful comments and stuff, and you have that stuff and you meditate on those comments and stuff, then that's what tears you down as a person. You have to block all that out, and the best way to block all of that out is by not being able to see it in the first place. And so I think that's very smart of you to not have any social media, so that you can't get bogged down in that, because I mean, who cares what people think? And I mean, if you care what people think about you, then you're probably not going to get very far in life, because you're always going to have haters. And I mean, even if you're perfect, I mean, Jesus was perfect, and he still had haters. But again, it's just I really like that you don't have a social media. I think that's a really good aspect. More people should adopt.
Yeah, it's just nobody should think about what other people have opinions on you. Like, people should just know that their own opinion about themselves is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, like I said earlier, once you start pointing out the good and the truth, you're going to be attacked. And it's really important to make sure you are in tune with the Holy Spirit, and He will make it very clear to you of what's attacking you and what you need to to hold true to keep talking about, to keep fighting against. And I think this is definitely a good one that I wanted to talk about.
Well, when you are steadfast in your values and your morals, then you're going to be incorruptible. I mean, it doesn't matter what people say, and if you know something is right and you know you're on this path, nothing anyone can say can change that. So you have to be able to recognize that it's probably an attack from the devil in a lot of cases, and you just have to say, no, this is not who I am. This is not what I've been called to do. This is not my purpose here in life. And you just can't get drugged down into that, because that's when you don't become the best version of yourself. You just have to keep moving forward and become the best man that you can become.
Absolutely. The quote you gave me the other day, if you feel that it's true in your spirit, then no matter what people say or do, you can change that.
Amen.
You can't.
Amen.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to the social media real quick. I know we talked about deleting it, but what role can social media and independent voices like you play in fighting against these ideologies?
I mean, it really does play a big role. If it gets out there more, then it's going to pursue more, I believe. If people know more about these subjects and what is actually going on in the education system, then people are going to point out that, hey, this is not okay. If there are thousands of kids who are coming out and speaking out about this independently, then people are going to understand just how big of an issue this is and just how big of an issue this needs to be fixed. So it really does play a big part in societal norms in society in general, to put out the facts out there, to put out what's actually going on.
Absolutely.
Well, and to add on to that, if more people rise up and people realize we outnumber these people 1,000 to 1, and they just, that's because that's their game. We do outnumber them 1,000 to 1 or more, and they just use their influence to think that they have all the power and you're a little nobody, you can't do anything, so just stay in your place, don't speak up, and be a good person, just stay where you are and don't rise up. But if we get a lot of these people, and that's our goal, is to get people to not accept what's going on and rise up, and then that's how we're going to be able to take this generation back, take the school systems back, take the government back, and turn it around for the better. Is if we just don't accept what's going on, and because if we don't accept it, they have to change. One way or another. Whether it's, probably not kinetic, just going to people's houses and shooting their door down or kicking their door down. But if everyone is advocating for change, then they can't ignore us.
Exactly. Unity is our greatest
Unity.
strength.
Yeah, we need to bring back common sense, because recently common sense has been uncommon. You can't call it common sense if it's not common. Through these jabs, through these invaders coming through the border, you would never think that that's common sense advocating for those things. And so, just one of my sayings is make sense common again. Kind of like make America great again. Make sense common again.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Well, I know you had wanted to read a speech that you gave your school. I don't know if you...
Oh, it's okay, but basically, I'm just going... It's pretty long, but basically, I was one of the head coordinators for the Days of Remembrance ceremony. If you don't know what Days of Remembrance is, it's about remembering the Holocaust and all those who perished at the Holocaust, remembering why it is so important to always remember what happened. So, in my speech, I talked about my own personal experience with anti-Semitism. I went to Great Hearts, which is a liberal arts school, and I was experiencing heavy anti-Semitism there, and so that's why I left. And then when I got into high school, freshman year, at a new school, I was also experiencing anti-Semitism there. And so my mom told me about my current school that I'm enrolled in, and there's a lot of Jewish people there. And so I thought, okay, let's go, because I'm going to be safe there. I'm going to be safe in a community that has a lot of Jewish students, because anti-Semitism is just not going to happen there. So I talked about how my current school does not tolerate any discrimination of any kind. And because of that, I have not experienced anti-Semitism. And I was incredibly grateful for their efforts in fighting against discrimination. So the hypocrisy that I've been getting online is from that speech, mainly because of that speech, and how I said that my school is great and it's amazing and it's done wonderful things for me. And it really has done wonderful things for me. But the point is that I will not be silent and sit back on societal demoralization.
Well,
really
and
good.
yeah, and another thing too is, I mean, that's something I really don't understand. Like people, I mean, back when we had slaves, I mean, that was obviously a very bad time in America's history. But I mean, what people don't understand is the first slaves in America were actually white.
Mm-hmm.
There was slavery going on a lot well before it happened here. It's happened in the British. They were the ones that mastered it. They were shipping all the people from Africa. Whites were getting shipped. Blacks were getting shipped. It doesn't matter. Everyone was under slavery. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. And so, and at the end of the day, you cut yourself, we all bleed the same. So that's the thing I don't understand now is how people can really look down on you just because of your skin color. You gotta get to know the person. You gotta get to know the group of people you're around, and then that's when you can start to make those conclusions, not just by color of their skin or whatever, because that's unfair. Because God created us all equal, and so we need to treat each other as such.
Yes. We should be focusing on diversity of merit, not diversity of skin color or diversity of infinite genders or anything like that. It's just diversity of merit and diversity of common sense.
Well, and that's how that's another vector of attack. That's how they tear us apart as a country, is by making blacks go against whites and all that stuff.
Yes.
That's how they spread that division and the hate, is by stirring up these false narratives and just pushing those as much as they can. Now, thankfully, I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to that and realizing that, no, this is not true. If I go to the gas station, I'm not just going to get shot up by someone, either or. And so it's I mean, again, you can't make those judgments off of that, and you got to ignore all the crap that they're pushing, because when you focus on that and you get dumbed down to that, that's when we get in big trouble.
Yes.
So, what has it been like navigating through school in like your past year? And then what are you expecting to see this year from school?
So my first year at my current school, it went pretty smoothly, and I knew that there was going to be some anti-Western indoctrination, but it was about Victorian feminism and the rise of feminism today and competition and the regular schmegular global warming stuff. But during my junior year, that is when the propaganda began to really increase. And it was happening in my English class. It wasn't happening in history class or any electives or anything like that. It was mainly happening in English class. So I noticed that my teacher, I'm not going to say his name or anything, of course, he was spreading disinformation to us. He would have this huge lecture before he would actually introduce his teachings, and it took up about 15 minutes of the class, and it was just quite terrible. But he was talking about how America is homophobic, fascist, racist, xenophobic, all of the above, the whole 9 yards. And I was just sitting there and I was like, how can you say that about your country? How can you say that to American students in your country? And the students around me were crying, they were bawling, they had to leave the classroom to go to cry. And I was like, really? Do y'all believe this? How can you believe this? How can you look at all of this data, look at all sides of the story, and take his truth for what it is? I remember the first lesson that he taught me. We were reading Greta Thunberg's How Dare You speech. I have it here. Or We'll Be Watching You by Greta Thunberg, which was given at the UN convention in New York. So he asked the students what the main themes of that speech was about. And so the students called out capitalism, greed, overconsumption, racism, the whole 9 yards. And so I asked a question, and I asked my teacher, what does greed and capitalism have to do with it? And he said, well, greed and overconsumption and capitalism all tie under the same trifecta. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then he cut me off, and then he said, I really like your ideas. You know, we need students like you to challenge the ideas that I give to you. And I'm like, but what you're saying is wrong. That's not me challenging an idea. That's just me stating a fact. So another incident that happened was in his class. And he was talking about gentrification and how gentrification destroys cultures. And I said, I had a private conversation with him, and I said, this is entirely false. Gentrification actually has many benefits if it is done correctly. I know this because my dad is a real estate agent. Gentrification is his job. So I had to school him about gentrification. I had to school him on how gentrification is actually extremely beneficial because if it is done correctly, then everything will level out and everybody within a community will thrive. And it will bring more value to the community altogether. And he said, wow, I didn't know about that. And I was like, you gave us all of these statistics that were about gentrification and how it's pushing other communities and other minorities out of their homes. And you didn't even bother to look at the truth. You didn't even bother to look at the pros that it has. And he told me a few weeks later that he talked about what I said to his colleagues at a teacher convention. And I felt really uplifted by that. I was like, wow, like my teacher's talking about me stating the facts and rebuttaling his claims. But I shouldn't have to do that. I really shouldn't. If a teacher is going to present an argument, an effective argument, and is going to teach his students how to present an argument, he needs to ensure that both sides of the story are addressed.
That's how they teach people to think, is by giving both sides as they are, and then you come to those conclusions, not just one side of the story.
Yes.
Exactly what you were just saying.
So do you think you'll see a change this year?
Hopefully.
Well, I'm kind of not hoping for it because I want this to be out more. I want everyone to know what's going on. But I have many other friends who have been experiencing what I've been experiencing in other states, in California and in the Washington, D.C. district as well. It's happening there, surprisingly, of all places. And in Baltimore. So I do think there will be a change. I mean, some of my friends have been talking about how creative writing has been taken off of their schedules. It's an elective that's taught by the same English teacher at my school. And I was a student in creative writing, and he wasn't teaching anything about anti-Western ideologies or these pro-leftist ideologies at all. It was a completely subjective elective, as it should be. I mean, it's creative writing. It's just teaching you how to cultivate your own creation, your own creativity to make a story or whatever you wish. So I feel like they were saying that in the group chat that we had because they wanted to blame me for it, subtly. Because they were saying, oh, I can't be in this class anymore, and students have to be now addressed by their birth pronouns instead of their preferred pronouns, and their birth names instead of their preferred names. And I feel like they were pinning that on me as if I had something to do with it. And I had nothing to do with it. I really had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, well, all of that to say is, we need more young people like yourself standing up for righteousness and realizing that, no, like we've been talking about, I will not accept this woke ideology that's being pushed on me, because it will have detrimental effects down the road. And so if we have a place where people can speak up, or even if just people go and talk to principals or teachers, whatever, if enough people do that, then that's when we'll start to see the change. And we're gonna have to take it to I believe the Department of Education should be completely shut down. It should be given back to the states. But it may have been already. I'll have to read it on that. But we need this change, and because the younger generation is the most critical generation right now. If this young generation falls, then probably all hope is lost. And so
Yes.
we have to stand up and fight.
Yes.
So how do we in this room and other listeners, how can we fight against this? How can we as a collective fight?
Just stand up. Don't be afraid to speak the truth.
The Lord gave you a voice, so
Yes.
use it.
Exactly.
I'm using it.
If you're afraid of discrimination, then that means that the people who you once knew do not care about you. They really do not care about you. So you should not value them in the same way that they have clearly valued you.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I said in the most recent video is find a good community who will pour life into you. If you believe all these things and are going against these ideologies, but you hang out with those people who are still glued to their phones and won't fight back, are you really going to grow? Are you going to get more and more people to fight against it? Try to find those people who are, even if they're right on the line of doing it, and just encourage them. Say, sounds weird, but like, join me.
Yeah.
Join me to help fight back. And it's just so critical to find community. And I think us right here, we're setting a great example on what the youth needs to do. Get together, talk about it, and don't just make a think tank, make a do tank.
That's right.
Yeah.
Most important thing you can do. And you are the sum of the people you hang around. So if you hang around with losers, then even if you're a good person, you're going to become a loser, because that's just who you're being influenced by, and one way or another, they're going to get you. And so you need to hang out with and converse with people who will build you up, and I would say are better than you, because then that's how you grow as a person, and don't become like the 95%. You go the 5%.
Yes, exactly. I used to hang out with those kinds of people at my school. I used to hang out with people who criticized conservatives to the full 9 yards. I mean, they called them stupid, they called them less than human, they called them Nazis, and I was just sitting there and I was like, how can you say that to someone like me? They had no idea at the time that I am a conservative and that I'm a Zionist as well. And so I just decided to stay silent. And I think that's my biggest regret, is just staying silent and having this fear of losing this public eye that I had at my school. So.
Well, one last question before we close. What is your hope for our generation and your peers around you?
My hope is that we gain back the ability to look at the entire equation and make our own decisions for ourselves, to not jump to conclusions right away, unless it is 100% certain, and to look at people as human beings first and political opinion second.
Well, thank you for being here, and we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.